Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a todos. Good afternoon and welcome everyone. Welcome to a community dedicated to providing spiritual tools for living a happy and full life. My name is Karina Shear, and I'm the spiritual director and founding minister here at the Center for Spiritual Living Puerto Vallarta. If you would like to join us for the live Zoom meeting, please contact me for the link and the password. Today is Sunday, June 19th. Happy Father's Day to all the dads, fathers, and father figures. We are continuing with our annual theme, which is Living Everyday Wonder. And the topic for the month of June is body. The topic for this week is the body remembers. Each week we open with a spiritual practice called affirmative prayer, also known as spiritual mind treatment. And this is a powerful tool and a practical tool that shifts our consciousness so that we are open and available to accept the good that is already present in our life. It aligns our thoughts with all good. So let's move into today's service with intention, as we do each week, with a reading from the Creative Thought magazine. Today I'll be reading from June 16, 2014. And just a reminder that spiritual mind treatment is always done in the first person. So I invite you to close your eyes and take these words as your own, if you so choose. There is one life. That life is divine and intelligent, and it is the beautiful life within me now and always. I am now at one with the divine presence, perfect and whole. It is my life and the life within my life. Today, I let go and let myself create, grow, and give birth to the beautiful. I now celebrate the truth of my being, the life within my body, and its positive unfoldment are now directed by supreme wisdom. My God self unfolds from me with love and joy, meeting and glorifying itself as the health of my mind, my body, my world, and the loving life within. Because I know that nothing is too good to be true, I now release all limiting ideas from my consciousness. I live my day-to-day experience centered in this one. I bless this body in which I dwell. I feel health coursing through me. The health within me is the manifest life of spirit. All is in harmony with the perfection of the one presence. I give thanks for the evidence of spirit expressing as fullness and completeness in and through me. This moment and forever, I release my word to law, and so it is. And that was originally submitted by Reverend Dr. J. Neal from Fremont, California. And as we also do each week, let's together review our purpose, vision, and mission statements. We have a grand purpose here, and that is to awaken and celebrate diversity and to love and serve our community. We do this by means of our vision, which is to educate and support each other so we can create the life we desire that works for us right now. And this is further supported by our mission, which is to provide spiritual tools for personal growth and transformation. And so once again, I'd like to welcome everyone. Please know that we are an open center and we honor all faiths and all traditions, no matter what your background is. Please know that you are welcome here. And so we here teach a philosophy called the science of mind. And it's a teaching based on new thought and ancient wisdom. And we offer spiritual tools and principles to promote personal growth, such as our opening spiritual mind treatment, among others. And as I mentioned, we honor diversity in all aspects so that we can see and appreciate the great oneness that already exists everywhere and within everyone. When Dr. Ernest Holmes was asked to provide a concise definition of the science of mind teaching, he had replied that it is a correlation of the laws of science, opinions of philosophy, and revelations of religion applied to human needs and aspirations. So if you have any questions or comments, you can either post them online wherever you are watching this replay, chat with me in person, or send me a direct email, and I'll be sure to respond. So continuing with the discussion about our body, it is the one thing in this world that is completely and intimately ours. Rather than engaging in a spirituality that denies the body, we can move closer to an experience of God here and now by fully engaging with our body. Our bodies are magnificent and magical conduits between God and our individual consciousness, and they ought to be celebrated for the way they allow us to experience the world in which we live. All bodies are good, and the body offers a direct and clear path to the divine experience, if we allow it. By loving the body, using it to connect to our minds and hearts, and listening to its wisdom, we celebrate its magnificence and awaken to this everyday wonder. Unprocessed, unhealed emotions can hide in our bodies. And over time, this can cause problems ranging from headaches and fatigue to serious medical conditions like heart attacks, anxiety, depression, and more. The body is more than a biochemical machine walking our heads from room to room. Engaging with our bodies in a richer, more meaningful way opens the door to resolve what is unhealed so that we can live more open, authentic lives. As humans, we have wonderfully creative minds and wonderfully responsive bodies, as many of us already know. We also have wonderfully creative bodies and responsive minds as the two are acting in reciprocal dance with one another. We often focus on a top-down causation, using the mind to influence an effect in the body. But what we may forget is that the body is responding to everything we do with our minds, including when we suppress our emotions or experience trauma. Conversely, physical experiences in the body can create unhealthy or undesired effects of the mind in a bottom-up fashion. We can interrupt this cycle of trauma, both personally and collectively, by intervening with either the mind or the body. So here's a story I'd like to share. It's not my personal experience, but a similar one that I can relate to. A physician who specializes in mind-body connection in medicine shared a story in a lecture about a woman he once treated. She had severe, almost debilitating pain in both of her arms and had been to different types of doctors with no relief or an explanation for her symptoms. She finally came to this body-mind specialist, and he guided her in a process that he used often. The doctor often worked with imagery, using a guided visualization process to connect with the body and listen to what it has to say. As the doctor guided the woman through the process, she said that she imagined wrought iron bars clamped down on both of her arms. The doctor asked her what these bars wanted to say to her. Though it felt odd, she asked out loud what they were there for and what they wanted her to know. At this, she was immediately flooded with memories of her grandfather. He had been a stern man, and he had died about a year before her pain began. She'd taken care of him in his final years and never felt loved or appreciated. He had been harsh and difficult throughout her entire life, and she always thought it was her fault that he was this way, rather than just his personality. Since his death, she hadn't wanted to or liked to even think about him. Caring for him and his passing had been painful, stressful, and she had tried to put it out of her mind. In putting it out of her mind, she had buried it in her body. After more guided processes, she came to understand the emotional pain behind the physical pain in her arms. And as she worked with it and eventually resolved it, her symptoms were alleviated. The trauma and pain that she didn't want to work with in her mind showed up in her body. And by becoming aware of it in her body, she was able to heal. Dr. Ernest Holmes said this: the intelligence in the physical body is a subconscious intelligence. It works creatively, but within certain fixed limitations. It is like a person sent on an errand and told what to do, and knowing only to do what they were told. Our bodies are perfect examples of the creative power of the mind, both ours, the collective unconscious society's mind, and the one mind. Responsive and ready to manifest what they are told, many of us have had experiences of mind-body healing in one form or another. While this is a powerful and wonderful connection to be aware of and manipulate, we need to remember that our bodies are always listening to our minds and following the instructions they are given. It's important to be careful with the instructions and imprints we give. And it's important to remember that our bodies will store our emotions or thoughts that we try to push down. Personal, societal, and ancestral trauma can be stored in our bodies as well. And ignoring them or using a spiritual bypass to gloss over the experience rather than heal it only lets the wound fester. By bypassing our traumas, we're telling our bodies that they cannot have freedom, and this can manifest as discomfort and or disease. I've done a lot of work dealing with personal and ancestral trauma to end this cycle for myself. And I continue to do my work in order for me to live my best life. We need to live, not merely exist. Or as German poet Johann Wolfgang von Goethe said, let us live while we are alive. And Mark Nepo said this: the task of being fully alive challenges us to stay in the center while feeling the full range of life on Earth. So the systems in which we live, and by which many of us are repeatedly harmed and traumatized, cannot maintain themselves without our support. By uncovering, resisting, and dismantling these systems, we create a world that works for everyone. And we create a world in which we can collectively begin to heal. I've been working with a variety of different healers lately to uncover and dismantle residual trauma in my mind and body. And I'm continuing on my path of healing. Resmaa Menakem, author of My Grandmother's Hands, wrote this. In today's America, we tend to think of healing as something binary. Either we're broken or we're healed from that brokenness. But that's not how healing operates. And it's almost never how human growth works. More often, healing and growth take place on a continuum with innumerable points between utter brokenness and total health. So sometimes really delving into the somatic, felt experiences of our pain, sorrow, or trauma can be terrifying. And it's understandably tempting to push them away or to try complicated mental gymnastics to avoid processing these feelings. But it's important to remember that they are called feelings and not thinkings. We feel our experiences. And while we may use our minds to help process them, our bodies are going to hold these imprints until we permit them to be felt and released. Often, all these retained feelings and sensations need to be seen and felt in order to relax. The body will send increasing alarm signals through pain, disease, or other ailments until it's heard. By learning to be present to what is, even if it's uncomfortable, and listening to our body's signals, we grow out of our past trials and traumas. Bessel van der Kolk said this: healing depends on experiential knowledge. You can be fully in charge of your life only if you can acknowledge the reality of your body and all its visceral dimensions. Healing, health, learning to feel our feelings and releasing old or stuck emotions and sensations doesn't happen overnight. Often, we are tempted to think of healing and growth as linear and binary events, thinking that I used to have this or that trauma, but I processed it and it's gone. This is not the way that any growth happens. And health and a harmonious mind-body system isn't a simple yes or no question. There's a whole spectrum of health. And the path through healing means looking at our own experiences of our lives in new and different ways repeatedly. Likewise, healing the systems that create widespread trauma won't happen immediately, but we can each do our part to heal it in ourselves and our societies. Collective trauma, like that imparted by centuries of racist structures and oppression, leaves a mark on all of us, though some are obviously more personally and deeply affected. Today in the United States is the holiday of Juneteenth, the celebration of the emancipation of enslaved persons. While Juneteenth may be specific to the United States, across the world, people of color have experienced deep ancestral and personal trauma from which they deserve liberation, as do we all. By healing individual experiences of trauma, we can begin to heal the collective grief and correct oppressive systems. We can't heal what we refuse to look at. Van der Kolk wrote this: as I often tell my students, the two most important phrases in therapy, as in yoga, are notice that and what happens next. Once you start approaching your body with curiosity rather than with fear, everything shifts. Our bodies, quite literally, keep the score of every thought, mental attitude, and trauma that they experience. Whether we try to push these pains away mentally or not, they are stored in our body and must eventually be addressed in order to live free and authentic lives. It can be hard to start feeling them, especially for those of us with many unhealed traumas or who are accustomed to going there, unaccustomed to going there at all. A gentle way to begin is just by noticing whatever sensation the body is having and patiently and curiously considering whatever comes up, just like Van der Kolk explained. This process, while personal to each of us, can also be used to address and begin to correct the systems of oppression that have traumatized countless bodies and hearts for the last several centuries. So this week, push through your personal discomfort as you get to know your own body and the discomfort that may come with hearing and learning about the experiences of people who have been affected by social structures. If you're in the United States, read up about the Juneteenth. Even if you're not in the United States, have a look at it or find a local Juneteenth service to participate in. If you're outside the United States, reflect on the collective trauma held by people in your particular country, as well as Aboriginal or First Nations persons, African descendants, etc. And be willing to hear their voices as we work together for collective liberation. And I'll leave you with these words from Van der Kolk. Mindfulness not only makes it possible to survey our internal landscape with compassion and curiosity, but can also actively steer us in the right direction for self-care. And so that leaves us at the point of expressing our affirmation for today and this week. I feel and honor every sensation in my body. And now is our time for giving back to where we are spiritually fed. Please consider donating it to Center for Spiritual Living Puerto Vallarta if you have been fed by what we've been expressing. Donations are gratefully received through PayPal on our website, which is www.cslpv.org. When you arrive on the landing page, you'll see a donate button. And when you click on it, it will redirect you to your PayPal account where you can offer your donation in whichever manner you choose. Alternatively, if you would like to send in a paper check, you can do so by addressing it to CSLPV number 403 2125 Birch Road, Kelowna, BC, V1Y 8N1. And now, if you'd like to join me in our offertory affirmations. I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I do give eternal thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. In our time for our notices and reminders, if you would like one-on-one connection for spiritual mind treatment to assist you with your emotions or change or whatever you are experiencing in life, please connect with me. And if you would like to commit to being a member of the Center for Spiritual Living Puerto Vallarta for this current year, or if you would like to be a member of our Board of Trustees, please contact us and we'll be sure to send you the current forms. I'd also like to remind you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook page. If you're interested in learning more about the Science of Mind teaching, we are currently offering the course, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, online, and we'll offer it again late September or early October. Connect with me or check on our website to find out the details. And let me know if there's any course or a book study or workshop that you would be interested in at a later date. But in the meantime, let's continue practicing peace. We can each be a force for peace and nonviolence. Our words and our actions can create ripples of peace all around us and beyond. Peaceful living includes acting with compassion, kindness, and consideration. And it also includes standing up against injustice. May peace and love be with you. Thank you for coming and sharing this time together. Peace and blessings to all. Namaste.